My toxic mom. My palms are sweaty, and I can feel my heart pounding in my chest so hard it causes a tickle in my throat. I raised my fist, ready to knock on the door of a rundown motel near the outskirts of our small town. It had been a year since I last laid eyes on her. It ended badly. There is absolutely no reason this would go any better. The door opened as I began to knock, and the woman I loved stared at me, shocked. "What are you doing here?" I thought back to our previous breakup. We argued over my mother. And the words that fell from her lips I will never ever forget. "I'm sick of watching your mother lust over you like some sex-starved fain. You shut your filthy mouth, you little slut," my mom shouted from behind me. I had no clue she was even in the room. My girlfriend shifted her focus to my mother. "I'd rather be a slut lusting after a man who's not my son than an old dried-up smoke herring." I nearly choked. Never had I heard anyone call a person so ridiculously before. I have to admit, I had to stifle my laughter. However, my mother's fist stretched out to punch my girlfriend in the jaw, and I had to step in between them. I chose to hold my mother back, fearing she would hurt herself. My girlfriend was pretty angry, but she surprised me by restraining herself. As I held on to my mother, who was now fighting me, I watched the woman I loved to turn her back and walk out the door. My heart broke. I believed that we would get married and grow old together. I had hoped that my mother and she would become close friends. My mother can be challenging to deal with, and she has been accused of being too dependent on me. But she is my mother, and I'm her only son. My sister had moved away years ago after giving up on trying to have a positive mother-daughter relationship with their mother. My mom finally stopped fighting, and she now lay against my chest. "She wasn't good enough for you. Mom, we need to talk." I finally told her, pushing her to step back and look at me. "You must be famished," she said, changing the topic. "I'm going to go speak with Misty. I can't let her think." "Stop wasting your time on trash," my mom said as she walked into the kitchen. It finally struck me. I am going to be one of those guys who are over 40 and live with their mother. No wife, no children, no home to be proud of. Something was definitely wrong with my mother and with me. As my feet started towards the front door to chase after my girlfriend, I heard a loud crash and my mother's scream. I darted to the kitchen to find that my mother had fallen on the floor. "I think I broke something," my mother cried out. "Don't move," I shouted as I pulled out my cell phone and called 911. The fall was pretty nasty. To this day, I cannot understand how it happened. But she broke her ankle, and it took a year for her to fully recover because of her age. And even after she could walk again, she was even more reliant on me. Every day I still thought about my girlfriend. She blocked me on social media and refused to answer my calls. It was like she just fell off the face of the earth. I'm now 36, and my mother can start to take care of herself once more. Since her injury, I have had to cook all of our meals. It was a first for me, but I soon learned I enjoyed cooking. I decided to take a culinary course to open my own restaurant one day. Everything was falling into place. It took a lot of coaxing, but I convinced my sister to stay with our mom for a little while. I moved out into my own apartment. I hadn't told my mother. I was hoping my mother would be distracted by my sister and the grandkids and that she wouldn't miss my comings and goings. Moving day came, and my sister kept her promise despite putting up with my mother. My sister had 2 sons, ages 5 and 3. My mom instantly fell in love with them. It was enough for me to quietly leave the house to do the necessary errands needed to have the power and utilities turned on in my new place. While grocery shopping, I ran into an old friend I hadn't seen in a while. He said he had just bumped into Misty a few days ago, and that she was staying at a hotel not too far away. I had to go see her. She was always there for me. I hated the thought that she was staying in a hotel room. Now standing before her, I knew what I needed to do. My eyes traveled down her beautiful face and the tiny infant sleeping in her arms. You had a baby." I blurted. Just leave, please. She replied. And tell your mom not to worry, I won't come after you for child support. She went to slam the door shut, but I shoved my foot in the doorway. I knew I would now have to choose between my mother and my girlfriend, and it was time to make that choice. Who would you choose?